You are the awardee. I'll say a few things first, but first, thank you for your very thoughtful and candid comments today. And I, like everyone here, feels very fortunate to be here on the occasion of your first visit to the United States in some 40 years. So if you would permit me, for more than 3 decades, the Asia Society has been recognizing extraordinary individuals who in their lives and professions have contributed to advancing mutual understanding between Asians and Americans in meaningful ways. The Society's Global Vision Award is bestowed upon leaders whose values and actions promote democracy, human rights, justice, and equal access to resources. Aung San Suu Kyi embodies these qualities like no other. She was the recipient of Asia Society's 2011 Global Vision Award that was given to her in absentia last January, and we're delighted to have the opportunity to present it to her today in person. Aung San Suu Kyi is the chair of Burma's leading opposition party, the National League of Democracy, or NLD, and her biography is well known to all, and that's been led primarily by her tireless advocacy for democracy and for the rights of her people, much of that achieved over decades of detention. She was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1981 for her lifelong struggle in support of democracy. Aung San Suu Kyi is an inspiration to the people in Burma and to all people in the world. And it's a special honor for me to present this award to her today because I'm a longtime visitor to Burma. I'm a great fan of your country. It's a place that really touches your heart. I first went there in the mid-'70s, and I have kept going back probably every year since the year 2000. There's a lot to love about Burma. It's beautiful, it's bountiful, and I don't think one can find a kinder or more resilient people anywhere in the world. I work with a school, an orphanage, a medical clinic near Tongyi, which is the capital of the Shan state. And importantly, I was involved in this work by a very great man, Uon Mong, a man I know you know well, a patriot and a man who has been one of your close colleagues in the NLD. And we've spent many days and many nights going over the years of struggles and triumphs of NLD and the challenge of finding democracy. And through him, I met many other supporters of your party, many of whom had spent time in prison and often under very deplorable conditions. So I have never met you, and it's a thrill for me to do so today. And I got to say that in all my visits to Burma, none were like the one I had last year. I was there last winter, and it was electrifying. And, you know, good news is hard to come by these days. So it's been astonishing to see so much good news coming from Burma, of all places. I was there for the campaign season, and it was a marvel just to witness the change in attitude and spirit and in hope of the Burmese who, after 50 years of pretty much a brutal military dictatorship, are awakening at last. Your picture was everywhere I went, hanging in the bazaars and the markets, and it was interesting because even just a few months before it was illegal to even possess the picture. I picked up a few posters and calendars. I got a handbag. It says, "I heart democracy." But you had a great victory, and for those of you, as you had mentioned, the NLD won 43 of the 44 seats that were open for this election. The longing for change in Burma is overwhelming, and while we know there will be obstacles along the way, many of which you alluded to today, the democracy that you have advocated for and devoted yourself to all your life really seems inevitable. It's a thrill to watch this history being made, and it's a thrill to have you here with us today. So on behalf of Asia Society, it's my honor to call you to the stage. That's what it says here, but you're already on the stage.
I knew I should have waited back.
That's all right. It's been great to have you here. But this is an award in recognition of your decades-long struggle to promote democracy, human rights, and justice. So let me present this to you. Very tragic.
We were scheduled to end at about 1:30, but we're going to stretch it out for about another 10 minutes so that there will be some time for questions. And Colette Rausch will join us on the stage, along with Suzanne Maggio.
We're going to jump right into it. My name is Colette. I'm with the Global Law Center here at the Institute, and it's an honor to co-moderate with my colleague Suzanne DiMaggio, who is with the Asia Society, their Vice President of Global Policy Projects. And we received a number of questions from Twitter, Facebook, and email. So let's launch right in. Suzanne.
Well, first, let me say what a thrill it is to see you again. Welcome back to the United States after so many long decades. I hope you know on this tour you're going to meet probably thousands, if not more, of your supporters and friends, and we're looking forward to that. You spoke a little bit about the obstacles and getting to them in the Q&A session, so this is mine, Colette's job. You spoke eloquently about the U.S.-Burma relationship and how far it's come in such a short period of time. And an emphasis has been put on economic issues. You made the point just now that without rule of law, the economy cannot be strengthened in a just way. Now we know that the United States is considering a lifting and an easing of the blanket ban on imports from Burma. So my question to you is, obviously such a easing would help people in your country in a meaningful way. But do you support such a move now? If so, why? And if not, what needs to be done to get there?
I do support the easing of sanctions, because I think that our people must start taking responsibility for their own destiny. I do not think we should depend on U.S. sanctions to keep up the momentum of our movement for democracy. We've got to work at it ourselves, and there are very many other ways in which the United States can help us to achieve our democratic ends, can help us to build up the kind of democratic institutions that we are in such need of. Sanctions are not the only way. We are very, very grateful for the fact that sanctions were instituted in the past. It helped us greatly. I do not agree with those who say that sanctions hurt Burma economically, but they certainly had a very great political effect. And the fact that so many people try to blame sanctions for the economic ills of the country only proves how potent it was as a weapon, not that it really hurt us economically. If you read the reports of the IMF, I think you will find that sanctions, in fact, had very little economic impact on Burma.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question that actually came from Twitter. And the question is, there are a number of ceasefire agreements and peace negotiations ongoing in Burma with the various ethnic groups. What can the Burmese government do to build trust with the ethnic groups and gain their confidence that the government is in fact responsive to their concerns? And what role do you think civil society can play in that peace process in Burma?
There has been distrust between, strategic distrust, I was going to say, between the ethnic groups and the military government of Burma for very many years. And now, although this is a civilian government, you have to remember that most of the members of this civilian government are from the old military government. And besides, the military still has a very powerful position in the achievement of ceasefires. For example, the problem now in the Kachin state is that the Kachins believe the ceasefire agreements will not be kept without the compliance of the military, and they are not certain that the military acts in accordance with the directions of the executive. So it's just a question of lack of trust. Nobody trusts anybody else, and that needs time to build up. I think we need to learn more about conflict resolution and negotiation from those who have gone through the same experience. I have spoken to a few people who were involved in conflict resolution and resolutions in other parts of the world, and even one session, from one session, I learned a lot. So I think we have to learn how to go about it. It's not something that comes naturally.
We received a number of questions related to the situation in Rakhine State and also the situation with the Rohingya. A few had asked for clarification. In the past, when you addressed this issue, you noted that this was a situation related to citizenship, and that would be a way to think about it. The questions were, what do you mean by that? And looking forward, what is the best way to address this issue?
To begin with, I didn't say that it was just to do with citizenship. I was talking about rule of law, and there are many aspects to rule of law. First and foremost, of course, it was a question of keeping peace in the area. The very first crime that was committed a few months back, if that had been handled in accordance with rule of law principles, that is to say, action should have been taken quickly, and then justice should not only have been done, but seen to be done, that would have diffused the situation. But because from the very beginning, the basic norms of rule of law were not observed, the whole thing escalated and became worse and worse. And looking at it in the long term, citizenship laws come into it. We have to know who are citizens of Burma in accordance with our citizenship laws. On the other hand, we also have to examine our citizenship laws to find out if they are in line with international standards and with basic human rights requirements. So it's not just citizenship laws when you're talking about rule of law. We're just talking about rule of law, meaning to say rule of just laws, citizenship laws, laws to do with crimes. It all started with a crime. And because the way in which the authorities handled it was seen as inadequate, everything became worse.
We have time for one more question. We'll see. And this actually came from an email. And the question is, what can members of the pro-democracy movement, known as the 88 generation, many of whom had been imprisoned in the past, as well as other activists, including exiles, do to contribute to Burma's peaceful transition? What is their role?
I don't think that all those who belong to these activist groups have to do just one thing. Each person has his own strengths and weaknesses. Each person has its own talents. I think they have to choose. Some may be best taking part in humanitarian activities. Some may be best going into politics. Some may do best in other directions, such as literature, arts, etc. So I don't think that just because they have been activists in the past, they all have to be lumped together and that they should all be expected to do just one thing. There are many things that they can do because I assume that each one of them is different. Each one of them is an individual with his own talents, his own inclinations, and his own ambitions. I don't think they need to keep together as one organization all the time. They have to expand with the changing times.
And then the follow-up question is are they welcome? Are they open to participate?
When Burma?
The question was...
are you talking about the ones who are living abroad?
Exactly.
Now, that, of course, depends on two things. One, on the regulations of the government, what the regulations are with regard to the status of each individual, because I don't know, I don't believe they will all fall into one category. And the second thing, will they be welcome in Burma? I think so. I think the people in Burma would welcome back any of our citizens who have lived abroad for a long time, if they wish to come back.
Okay, thank you.
And I think on that note, this was a very short Q&A, but we were thrilled to have the opportunity. Thank you so much for joining us. I know Jim is going to give some closing remarks, but I do want to tell all of you that this entire discussion will be available on our respective websites, usip.org and asiasociety.org. So please tell your friends and colleagues to view it. I think it was a very important statement from you at this moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to our Our partners, the State Department, the Asian Fund, the Asian Society Blue Moon Fund, and to all those who put this together, we're going to move Aung San Suu Kyi out of the building. If you just hold tight for just a minute or so, and we'll let you go. We're going to leave right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats until the official party departs.